Hello class, welcome to another lesson. Today's learning goal is I can use order of operations to simplify expressions. So let's get started. As you remember from last year, there is an order to the operations that we do. Okay, so for example, if you were given the expression 5 minus 2 times 2, okay, the incorrect way to do this would be to do 5 minus 2, which is 3, and then have times 2, and then get 6, okay? That's not correct, okay? The reason for that is because subtraction, as you can see, is the last thing, according to the order of operations, PEMDAS, as you might have remembered from last year, is the last thing that you need to do inside an expression, okay? Ahead of that is the multiplication. So, the correct way to do this would be 2 times 2, which is 4. So we get 5 minus 4. And we do 5 minus 4. The correct answer would be 1. The simplified expression of this 5 minus 2 times 2 is 1, not what we had before, which was 6. Okay. The first thing that you do in every single one of these is follow the order of operations using parentheses. Okay. The first thing you do is all the operations within the parentheses. Then you have to do exponents. After that is multiplication and division. Both of these occur at the same time, so you do it from left to right, whichever happens first, left to right. And then finally, you have addition and subtraction. Again, these both happen at the same time. They're both in the same level. That's why they're colored yellow here. So you have to do them from left to right. Okay. So let's try some of these out. Again, I'm going to write PEMDAS here at the bottom. Or on the side. Let's do that on the side right here. PEMDAS. P-E-M-D-A. Oops. Let's do that again. Over here maybe where we have a little bit more space. P-E-M-D-A-S. Okay. So that is the order that we need to do things. So here we have a parentheses. So we're going to do things first by looking at the operations inside the parentheses. We have an addition and a multiplication. Addition is right here, multiplication is right here, which means that we're going to do multiplication first. So that means we're going to do this part right here. So we got 4, 2 times 3 is 6, so plus 6. We're going to keep the parentheses. Remember to keep everything that you haven't done up to that point in the following expression. So we haven't done the divide by 5, and we haven't done the add by 3. We're still inside the parentheses. The next thing we're going to do is the addition, 4 plus 6, because it's in parentheses. We get 10. And at this point, we can get rid of the parentheses because there's no more operations inside the parentheses. When we have no more operations left, we can get rid of the parentheses out here. So we get 10 divided by 5 plus 3. What we did was this part right here, okay? Finally, or not finally, we have two operations that are outside the parentheses, division and addition. Division is right here, addition is right here. So we're going to do 10 divided by 5 first, which is 2. We have 2 plus 3, and finally, that was that right there. And then finally, we have 2 plus 3, which is 5. So the simplified version of this is 5. Notice how I underlined each operation that I did. So the first thing I did was 2 times 3, so I underlined it and then kept everything else the same. The next operation I did was 4 plus 6, underline it, wrote the 10, kept everything the same. Same thing in these last couple steps, except for this one. I probably should have underlined that one. Here we go. Underlined. There we go. I do that in order to keep track of where I am. Okay, that helps me reference where I am looking at for my operations, and that way I can keep everything else the same. Notice I do one operation at a time as I go down. This is helping with organization that we talked about beforehand. A lot of us only struggle with order of operations because we are not organized. So be organized. Okay, with your work. That will help you out a lot in this section. Okay. So the next one we're going to do is this one. Again, I'm going to write PEMDAS on the side. PEMDAS. Okay. Here we have no parentheses, so we don't even need to worry about this P over here. We have exponents. right here. So we're going to do that first. We're going to do this 3 squared. Now remember that 3 squared does not mean 3 times 2. We already have 3 times 2. That's really easy to write. We don't need a shorthand for that. What this means is 3 times 3. Okay? And 3 times 3 is 9. We get 9 times 4 minus 2 times 10. So that is our first one. The next thing we need to do is look at this multiplication, subtraction, multiplication. According to the order of operations, multiplication is right here. Subtraction is right here, so that means we're going to do multiplication first. 9 times 4, we're going to do that one first because that comes first inside our expression from left to right. That is going to be 36 minus 2 times 10. Okay. Then we have subtraction and multiplication. Again, multiplication is still in front, so we're going to do this one right here. So we got 36 minus 2 times 10 is 20. And then finally, we have our last operation, which is subtraction. And we get 36 minus 20, which gets us our final answer of 16. So here's another example. You can go ahead and pause and try this one on your own if you would like. I'm going to go ahead and write PEMDAS right there. We do have parentheses right here, so we're going to do the subtraction first because according to order of operations, whatever happens in the parentheses has to happen first. So 9 minus 3 is 6. So we've got 6. Remember to keep this square part. If there's a square on the outside of this parentheses, you need to keep that after you simplify what's inside the parentheses, divided by 12 plus 7. So now we have 3 operations left. We have exponents, we have division, and we have addition. According to the order of operations, exponents happens before division and addition. So we're going to have this part right here. We're going to do that. So it's 36 divided by 12 plus 7. The next one that we're going to do is division because division happens before addition. So we got 36 divided by 12, which is 3. We have the plus 7 at the end. And what we did was this part right here. And finally, our last step, if I can get it to work, there we go, is 3 plus 7, which gets us our final answer of 10. The one that we have here is slightly more difficult, and it's slightly more difficult because of the brackets right here and right here. And what brackets are, they're just outside parentheses. That means that you still do whatever on the inside first, but you also have parentheses on the inside that you have to consider. Okay. So let's go for it. Let's first write our PEMDAS on the side. PEMDAS. Fantastic. And so here we have this bracket, so we're going to look in here first, and we have the first parentheses is this one right here. So we're going to do whatever is inside this parentheses first. We're going to do 10 minus 2. So we're going to rewrite this outside part. 7 squared minus 8 times, parentheses, 9 minus 4, and parentheses, and end bracket. Okay. Again, inside here, when there's no operation here, that just means multiplication. Okay. So the next thing that we're going to do is inside the bracket again and inside the parentheses, and this time the only parentheses left is this 9 minus 4. So I'm going to do 7 squared minus bracket 8 times, what is 9 minus 4? 9 minus 4, excuse me, is 5. And we still have the end bracket. Notice how I'm writing everything out again. That way I don't forget about this 7 squared on the outside. Even though I'm not doing it yet, and I'm nowhere near doing it yet, we still want to have that out here so we don't forget about it later on. The next thing that we're going to do is still inside the bracket, and it's the only operation in there. It's 8 times 5. So we got 7 squared, 8 times 5, we got the minus, 8 times 5 is 40, and we don't need the bracket anymore because we don't have any more operations. We don't have addition, we don't have subtraction in there anymore. All of them are done after we do the multiplication. Now what we're left with is something that we're pretty familiar with. We're left with exponents, this e over here, and subtraction, which is right here. And according to order of operations, we're going to do exponents first. That means 7 squared. 7 times 7 is 49 minus 40. That's what we have left. So that's what we did right here. And then finally, our last step is to do 49 minus 40, which is 9. Go ahead and try this one on your own and press pause on the video. So again, I'm going to write the order of operations. Okay. And according to this, we need to do parentheses first. So inside the parentheses is 4 plus 3. So that is what we're going to do. We're going to start with 35, because we want to keep everything the same, minus 4 plus 3 is 7 times 2 squared. Notice how I'm being very organized with my work so I can see what's going on, that this squared part doesn't become all of a sudden times 22. Okay? Being organized, again, is very important. 35 minus 7, there's a subtraction, which is down here, multiplication, which is right here, and exponents, which is right here. So that means that we're going to do the exponent first. We got 35 minus 7 times 4. Now we have subtraction and multiplication is here, subtraction is right here, so we're going to do multiplication first, right here, 35 minus 28. And finally, the only operation we have left is 35 minus 28, which gets us our final answer of 7. Pause the video and try this one on your own. Again, we're going to start with PEMDAS on the side so that we can, so we can keep things in order. PEMDAS, P-E-M-D-A-S. And we're going to start with what's inside the bracket, and then inside the bracket there is a parenthesis, so we're going to start there. We're going to start with 3 times 4. Okay, so we got 5 plus, keeping everything, writing everything down so I don't forget. 3 times 4 is 12, and bracket to the 2nd power. Okay. Then when we still look inside the bracket, what we're going to do is the subtraction inside the bracket, because that's the only operation that's left. We have 5 plus 20 minus 12 is 8, and we still have this exponent on the outside. The next thing that we're going to do is, according to order of operations, here's exponents, here's addition. So we're going to do the exponent first, 8 times 8, because remember this means 8 times 8, not 8 times 2. 5 plus 8 times 8 is 64. And then finally, our last operation that we're going to do is addition, right here. 5 plus 64 is 69. Okay. Go ahead and try the practice on your own.